Welcome to Homebuyer Seminar, February 6, 2026. I'm Bill Gross, at Bill Gross Probate and Social Media, along with a good friend and colleague,
Patricia Castillo.
and a good friend and colleague and lender.
Shen, the lender. How's it going, guys?
As we're getting ready to talk today, we kind of kick around how, real estate is real. Like life, it can be messy. Like, it'd be nice if every transaction was the couple skipping across the lawn, raising their baby in the air, and triumph at the end of a painless transaction. But often that's not how it looks. And that's why you need professionals like us. And Patricia and Shannon, you guys have been on a wild ride here on one recently, huh?
Definitely. Yeah, we actually just closed on a duplex today in Los Angeles. And I met this client about 4 or 5 years ago. And I was selling another property in the neighborhood, and I knocked on her door to let her know that I was selling the home at the corner and if she knew anybody that was interested. So we stayed in touch, fast forward 4 or 5 years later, and she wanted to buy a duplex, and she expressed her interest in investing in real estate when I first met her. And so the time just wasn't right for her. Finally, fast forward, here we are. But what we wanted to share with you guys is just all the behind the scenes things that happen that we normally don't bring to light with the clients, because we don't want to have them panic or freak out and not know what's going on, or jump to conclusions, because all along we had a handle on it. But it's just about sometimes changing the strategy, pivoting from certain situations or scenarios to find the best solution for the client. So this is a really good example of how we were able to get the client a lower rate, avoid paying an extension fee on the lock because it was costly. It was a couple of $1,000s. And so so the offer was accepted on this duplex, and the agreement from the beginning was that one of the units would be delivered vacant. And at first, the listing agent said, well, I think, we're going to sell it with both units. So we went back and forth, negotiated to have one unit delivered vacant. So now we're into the escrow, about a week and a half. We're at our home inspection, and the seller meets us there. And we're walking around the property and just taking down some notes and other information about the property. And the seller said to me, I'm going to be completely honest with you, Patricia. She said, I'm having a really hard time getting this tenant out of here. And I said, oh, okay. And the buyer's there too, right? So she's telling the both of us, and my client looks at me with this face of concern. And I said, don't worry about it. We're going to work it out. The tenant will end up leaving. That's according to our contract, right? That's stipulated in the contract. So don't worry, it's going to happen one way or another. Well, when we opened the escrow, the plan was that tenant was going to move to another rental right down the street. Well, for some reason, she changed her mind and said, I don't want to live there anymore. And so now the seller had to relocate her. And that took some time. So we were flexible on extending our closing date, because we were waiting. This shift with the tenant situation happened. We were waiting for the tenant to relocate to the other property she was going to relocate to. In the meantime, Shannon had already locked the rate. And so now we were up against our rate lock expiration, and it was this huge cost to extend it, but we didn't know how long we had to extend it to, right? Because we're still waiting for the tenant to get situated and sign the cash for keys agreement, agree to move out, and also agree to move out by a certain date. Well, the seller, to incentivize a tenant, she gave her more cash for her to sign the agreement sooner than later. And so to avoid the tenant dragging her feet, so she gave her more money. She put down the deposit and the first month's rent on her rental where she was going to be moving to. In the meantime, we're doing our inspection, negotiating repairs, which we got a $10,000 credit for. Yay, yay, yay. And then Shannon and I were talking about the loan. So there's different things happening, right? The seller's working with the tenant to relocate her. Our rate lock already expired at this point. The buyer receives an email stating that she's going to be charged per day for, I forgot how much money. And so she's worried about that. And then Shannon and I are talking in the background. How are we going to get around this whole extension cost, right, for the client? Because we still had probably another 2 weeks to go, which would have added up to a lot of money because the buyer would have been charged per diem. So what did you end up doing, Shannon, at that point? We had 2 weeks to close, right? Because now we had the cash for key signed. The tenant was already halfway out. She had started moving. We had the termite inspector lined up to get the place fumigated. The other tenant had to be put in a hotel, which the seller took care of. So now we're at the point where, at this point, we didn't even have a lender, right? Because we were going to change lenders at the last minute.
Yeah. And mind you, this is Patricia's deal, so I cannot mess this up. So, yeah. So pretty
we're
much
closing in 2 weeks. What are you going to do, Shannon?
exactly. And so this is what happened. Our rate expired. However, the bank told me, listen, if you go past 30 days of the expiration date, we can reset and we're good. Right. Which I'm thinking, okay, they said, okay, well, worst case, the tenant's going to move out first week of February, which our 30 days will be done. So I'm thinking, okay, we're fine. And then, yeah, they call and say, well, the tenant's leaving earlier than we expected. Everyone's like, hooray, except for me. I'm like, this is not hooray. But yeah, so again, this is the benefit of working with a loan broker because I'm not tied to the bank. I'm tied to my client. So right. Unfortunately, I had to, well, not fortunately for the client, actually, is I called, a few other banks that I had lined up. Luckily, she had good credit and rates did drop. Rates did drop since we opened escrow. So she was going to get a lower rate. The only thing is I had to pretty much start everything from scratch. Pretty much I was clear to close on the other loan. It was just, hey, give us the go ahead to close and pay the rate lock fee and you're done. Pretty much you're done.
Right.
So I had to then go to the other bank, negotiate the rate there. And then, I had to ask Patricia, how much time do I have? And she's like, can you get it done in 2 weeks? And I just had to call and make sure, hey, will you use this appraisal that I used already? And it was recent enough to where they'll say, look, we just need a transfer letter from the other bank. I'm not sure if I told you this, but we need a transfer letter from them and then we can use it. So Patricia says, can you do it in 2 weeks? I told her, yes, let's do it. I didn't know if I could or not, but I worked every single day to make sure this got done. And yeah, I submitted everything. And I told the client, I said, look, I got you a better rate. Good news. The caveat though is you're going to have to do all your paperwork again. Which I guess for her technically was just a bunch of DocuSigns. So, I guess it wasn't too bad, but I just
these days with the digital signature capability.
I said, I need all the initial disclosures signed again. I need all your letters, everything that you did, we're going to need to do it twice. And so as long as you work with me on there, we're good. So she's like, I'm ready. Let's go. And so, yeah, that's again, I'm tied to the client, not the bank. So I pretty much submitted everything again. We went through the whole process, conditions. They had to check her credit again. They had to do the whole due diligence. I got the appraisal transferred over, and yeah, we closed.
And then you ordered loan documents, just like that.
Yep, and we got loan docs in. The client was happy. She got a lower rate, and I forgot. I did tell her this in the beginning. I said, look, if the rates go down, drastically in escrow, we can work on something. And so again, that's why wasn't tied to that bank. And they weren't happy with me, right? But again, I'd rather my clients be happy, and right. I told them, hey, look, you'll get more deals from me later on. So, but that's again what we did, at least on the loan side, and thankfully she was happy, and she got a lower rate, and we still ended up closing, when we needed to close. So,
right, we still made the cutoff time.
Yeah,
if they applied with a bank. Wells Fargo, BofA. Don't have disparage banks like Wells Fargo, BofA. They're worth disparaging, or Chase, or Citicorp. Or if you're going to a major, retail label company, Rocket Mortgage, for example, you would have paid a higher rate because the rate expired. Sorry, not sorry. We charge you a higher rate, and they make extra money. Number one. Number two, in my experience as a listing agent, nothing's a problem until it's a problem. So I get these customers who come to me with pre-approval letters Oh, it's from Rocket Mortgage. And you can't get me on the phone to talk about it. Why is that a problem? Well, it's not until something goes on with the deal that maybe you don't control. In this case, the buyer didn't have any control of the tenant. It's just one of those things that happens, and they're complicated situations. And so this is why having a team member who's a professional and can respond to this is better than having some AI supported, phone person in India who has no control in the business, or bots or whatever, who, they're going to tell you the company line. And if they get 98% of the customers happy, they're good. And if you're one of the 2%, they just say sorry, not sorry. So this is why we do what we do, is for those 2% of the time. I don't know what the actual number is, but the percentage where you need to roll up your sleeves and have somebody can help you out. And this is why Patricia and Shannon and I work together, because this is what it looks like.
Yeah. And also too, exactly, a lot of moving parts. And Patricia negotiating, 10K credit really helped. And so, and her also help orchestrating that tenant move out situation. That's not easy. And, the house hacking sounds fun, but if you don't have a good team, to educate you on how to get this done, like you said, it's not that fun. So yeah, no, that's the benefit of using us. And again, we are on your side. That's the thing. Our business is built on relationships with first time homebuyers, and that this is, like you said, a special case of that. So yeah. And she, man, the look on her face and how happy her kids were, my goodness, running all around.
Yes, I'm trying to do a video on the kids are like screaming everywhere.
And that's another thing too, working with a great team, because now you reminded me, the listing agent also kept calling me all the time. Are we good? Are we good? Are you sure? Are we good? And I don't think any other bank would even take that call. This guy would text, email me, call me. Yeah. And keep asking, what's going on? Are you okay? Are you? And I'm like, dude, we're fine. Again, I don't know if he had a sixth sense of what was going on, but I'm just, just letting him know.
And to that note, when I knew that we were going to be reapplying with a new lender and submitting the file and getting the appraisal transferred, once you had confirmed that we could do that to save the buyer some money, I called the listing agent and I said, look, I'm going to send you an extension request because we're definitely going to need more time on the loan contingency. It's not that the buyer is not approved, but think about it like if it were your client and you were representing the buyer. I know you're representing the seller.
Wow.
But I also have to do what's right for my client. And if we can save her some money, it's not going to delay the closing. Shannon already said he's going to get it done in 2 weeks, even though you hadn't said that.
Yeah.
But we're going to make it happen in 2 weeks. And your client's going to be really happy. She also had another property she was purchasing. She was doing a 1031 exchange. So we had to get everything closed on time.
Had to perform.
So, just having that communication with the listing agent. Also, I'm sure you appreciate that, Bill, when there's a buyer's agent that's completely transparent and gives you all of the information so you're not in the dark. You can update your sellers as to what the current status is. Everybody is on the same page. There's no false expectations. So we all knew that we were all on the same side of the fence as far as closing the escrow and getting that property sold. It was just how we were going to strategize to get that completed. So the listing agent said, you know what, Patricia, I appreciate the call. Go ahead and submit that loan, to the other lender. You're right. We have time. And, I think you guys will be able to get it done in 2 weeks.
And see, that's the benefit of using a successful agent such as Patricia, because if you think about it now, if that agent has another listing and you watching this now as a first-time home buyer want that home, the next time Patricia, makes an offer, he's going to look and say, wow, I know that she closes. I know what she can do. I'm going to lean more towards that offer. So, as someone who's thinking about buying, work with agents who produce and who are, producing results, because you never know, those relationships that they have will benefit you in the long run. That's what I realized too, is, those relationships are going to serve, you as a first time home buyer watching this. So, this is a success for you as well.
I have a transaction, Patricia's helped me out a little bit in La Palma, where one of the things I've learned as a listing agent is whenever I have a sale and there's a contingent transaction, meaning the buyer of my property is selling their home to move into this one. So I put an MLS search on that property. Anything that changes, I want to know about it. And so like Saturday night, 8 o'clock, I get this MLS update that this property went from active under contract to back on the market.
Oh,
So I know
no.
right away something happened. Now I will say that I always interview the buyer's agent before we accept an offer pretty intensely. I want to know who they are. In this case, I knew his company, I knew his broker, I know people that he knew. I think I mentioned this to Patricia. I think of all the offers I've received in the last 5 years, it was the most complete package in terms of presenting it properly, the offer. So I knew he was good. And he didn't call me because he didn't think I would notice, but I've been around a little bit. So when I reached out to him, I said, let's just chat with the money, get an update what's going on. The answer was they were negotiating the credit with the buyer on their side, and the buyer was being difficult. And so temporarily put back in the market. They resolved it. They put it back under contract, and we're moving to close. And so because I had talked to him and had communication, I wasn't panicking. I just did my job. I knew it would work out. But the quality of the real estate agent is so underrated. But again, you don't need it until you need it. But when you need it, you really need it. That's kind of my feeling on that.
Yeah, this was definitely a fun transaction and a lot of twists and turns, but we were able to get it done. And, at the end of the day, it's the buyer that really wanted this property for a few reasons. She wanted a place for her elderly mom to live where she can care for her, and it's right down the street from where she lives. She also wanted to buy a rental property and add this to, start a portfolio. So she's definitely on the right track.
Yeah.
So
So it's possible.
Help her out.
Yeah.
How fun. Well, again, these are things where I was just watching somebody talk about kind of on a personal level. If you have work that you think is important, sometimes we look at other people's work and think, well, how frivolous it would be to be in that industry or that job or to do that work. But to that person, they really get a lot of pleasure out of either doing the thing or helping other people by doing the thing. In our case, I really enjoy helping sellers navigate difficult situations. I enjoy helping real estate agents navigate the deals. And I think that, sometimes it's almost sadistic. I enjoy difficult transactions. Maybe I should work on easier ones and bigger ones and make more money, but I do enjoy what I do. And I do feel like I can help people. And Patricia, again, you bring a lot of experience in closing deals. And I think that's very underrated. I don't think consumers appreciate it enough. And I'm on a campaign to try to raise awareness that, yeah, it's great. I use all the AI stuff. I use all of it in technology, but at the end of the day, there's nothing that's going to replace my judgment and my experience.
Right.
At least that I'm aware of for now, and there's not much that's really close. Or yours, in your case, Patricia, as well, and your Shannon as a lender. I think there's no substitute for experience. There's no substitute for desire. So,
absolutely.
Okay, well, we're a little abbreviated version today, but great story, Patricia. Thank you for sharing that. Now, what else is going on? Do you have open house, new listings? What's going on in your life? If someone wants to run into you or do some business with you, how do they get a hold of you? Or what are you working on?
So I have the listing that I just went on the market last weekend in West Covina. I think we shared that last week. I'm going to be showing that tomorrow for about an hour. I have a couple.
Excuse me, up in the hills of West Covina.
Yes, it's right near Nogales High School, right on the border of Walnut. So it's a really nice community, very quiet and clean. And the HOA community, it qualifies for FHA financing, which is great because a lot of condominiums are not approved or they lose their approval status. And so you don't find that out until you're actually looking at the property and making an offer. But this one is approved, and I will be showing it tomorrow for about an hour. I have a couple of people that called that want to see it. And this weekend, just working with some new clients, showing property. And there's a lot of people that are trying to get into a home this year. My phone's definitely ringing.
Yep.
Nice.
It's buying season.
It's buying season. Okay, great. So if someone's get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
My cell phone, 323-365-9909.
Great. And Shannon, anything in particular you're working on?
Yeah, no, I got a few prequels I got to work on. Some people are already reaching out about the Cal Halfa program, getting ready for that. So again, making sure that it's February, I think 24th. that the applications are coming out. So having people that are already reaching out about that, but the applications are coming in. So I think if you're interested in seeing what your numbers are, how much you qualify for, getting a plan, give me a call, 661-317-8484, and we can definitely take care of you.
Fantastic. And I'm at Gross Probate on social media. We do this. We have a new episode hitting every Friday. If you have questions, please reach out to us, and love to talk to you. If you have comments, questions, reply, reach out. We'll talk about it next week. And thank you for being here. Make today your best day ever. Patricia, Shannon, thank you so much.
Thank you.